Sorry about that. Let's start again. I'm not discombobbled today. Okay. I just wanted to send a shout out to all of the people who had damage from this terrible, terrible hurricane. And, you know, it's interesting. I read a couple articles and people saying, well, why didn't people just leave? People aren't able always to just leave. Like I told Mark, you know, we have 3 dogs. Where do you go with 3 dogs? We have 2 birds. We have chickens. And a lot of people don't have that money right then needed to put gas in, to stay in expensive hotels, because all the hotels jack up their prices. They know they're going to get good business. And then how far up would you have to drive to find a hotel that had space? So I try to be understanding. If you can leave, you should, but don't be so harsh judging people who stayed, because not everybody can leave. And that's just all I'm saying. But anyway, we got real lucky up here. I know in this area, there were a couple people who had trees fall on their homes. And I have photos. I pulled them off the news today, the online news. So I have photos to show you of some of the damage. And so we were sitting here Friday night, and I was cooking dinner because he wanted cheeseburgers. And the light started flickering, and it was like, oh, no. And it flickered on and off about 6 different times, which Mark hates because it's not good for the electronics. And then it went off for 20 seconds. But then it came back on. And so we were like, yay. I stayed up. It was going to hit. It was so funny. It tracked right up, including us. And I thought, oh, no. So it was supposed to hit this area around 2 a.m. Luckily downgraded to a tropical storm, depression kind of thing. But luckily we ended up, once it hits land, usually then, as long as the part's not sticking out over the ocean, it usually slows down pretty good. So it did. And we were very lucky. So then the next morning, so I was up, you know, way till 4 in the morning because I was all, you know, looking and wondering. And so at some point the next morning, about 10:30, I'm still asleep, and the power goes off. And it's so funny. It wakes you up, not because it makes a noise, but because of the absence of noise. Because it's so, you don't realize you have fans going, you have things in the background. And so we stayed without power until 9 o'clock last night. And the reason I'm telling you this is because that's why I was rushing like mad to try to get ready for this show. Because I couldn't bring up my computer. I couldn't, you know, to do some of the things I wanted to do, I would have to have my computer. I did get my pumpkins painted, and luckily, we're so lucky. I'm not going to complain about being without power for about almost 12 hours. Because it was cool. In fact, if anything, the house was just a little chilly. So today I'm rushing around like a crazy woman, trying to get ready for the show. And I wanted to put some stew beef in the crock pot. And so I'm rushing around fast as I can. Mark comes in to help. And this is what happens. So at that point, we kind of went, whoa, stop. This is ridiculous. It's not worth hurting yourself for. So he got a big cut, but it's in an area where I don't think they're going to be able to sew it. It's right near his fingernail. The knife just slipped and got him and kind of cut a V. So I said, whoa, we need to stop. And looking at it, I really don't think they can sew it. But I said, we've got to stop, get that cleaned up, get medicine on it. It didn't want to stop bleeding, so we wanted to put some pressure on it. Sit down, put his head up, get his blood pressure down. Because I said, that needs to heal. Because anytime you have like a V cut, with like a flap. You know, you got it. And I said, let's just sit down. So I ran down here, changed the time of the show, and then we went up and we just kind of sat and tried to relax and regroup. So, thank you for being so understanding. Oh my gosh. It's like my life is not supposed to be this exciting. But anyway, we're lucky. So we both rested for a while, kind of let our blood pressure get down. He now has gone back to the store. And I said, do not use that hand. Let that hand start healing. And because, you know, if the flap won't stay put, then he's going to have to go in and try to get something done. So we're hoping it's, you know, it's just crazy. I'll tell you, it reminds me of the time we were getting ready for my oldest daughter's graduation when I lived back up in Maryland. So we decided that we were going to fix up the back deck a little because we were going to have all these people over for a big cookout. Well, I kind of stuck my hand in the table saw. The table saw blade stopped working, and without thinking, I went to turn the blade barehanded. So I ended up, you probably can't even see it now because what is scars? And it's this finger. What are scars and what are wrinkles? But let me see if I can show it to you. I don't know if you can see some of these lines. It made hamburger of this part of the finger. I had to have 18 stitches because he had to try to put that skin back together, but I'm lucky it didn't damage a muscle. But I understand about trying to, being in a panic, doing too much and hurting yourself. So it's not worth it. So I am so tickled. I think I see Diana B. Thank you for telling me I had no sound. You and Mitty and Michelle. Hi, Michelle. And I can't wait to show Michelle some pictures of what the storm did. And I know Sandy will be very happy he wasn't here for this. So it's just crazy. But as I said yesterday, I learned, let me see if I can move the camera out a little bit. Let me move my cute little, I love my little ghosts so much. They are very delicate, but I love them. So yesterday I got my pumpkins painted because this week I made sure to finish them up and, get the bottoms taken care of and all of that. So I'm so tickled with these. And my daughter said, they look like claymation pumpkins. But here is my favorite one. And remember, oh, yeah, I bet you have. Remember, I did these paper mache. So I took a grocery store grocery bag, filled it full of other grocery bags. You can put newspaper. You can put scraps of batting or stuffing in them and tie it down nice and firm. And then you use a flour mixture, like a cup and a half of flour, about 4 ounces of white glue and water. And then I used brown paper strips, like brown paper bags or whatever. You can use newspaper. But I love these. And as you can see, they're very light because I opened it up, took out all the stuffing from the inside to use to make the other ones. So, and then I had to look online and see how to paint it. And it's just a matter of taking your time, using numerous colors to make it look more natural. Here is my blue one, all finished. And there is that one. And I love them. And this one kind of squatted down, so that's why it turned into a blue pumpkin. Let me get these over without hurting my little clowns. This one I've got to go back and touch up a little bit because I'm not happy with the color yet. And trying to get it, oh, thank you. I love the blue one too. And and let me tell you, if you do these, for the stems, use paper towels. Just like you would the brown paper. They make great gnarly stems. Isn't that cool? So anyway, here is this one. And I'm going to go back and do flicking dots. So I'm going to take a toothbrush, put it in my paint, and then flick it on around the pumpkin. And then I think I will like it even better. But this was just this little one. In fact, this is the one that I made in front of y'all and then put the tape around it to try to make it taller. So there are my 3 pumpkins because the foam, let me get my little, I love these little clowns. And I put many layers of paint trying to stiff them up. But if I were to drop this right now, I know it would break because the clay's so thin. But I love them. And now this is what sits on my coffee table in the living room. And it makes me so happy. So, okay, I talked about the power outages. And Ian, and you know, understand when I talk about my power outage, it's nothing to what people in Florida are going through. So please keep your thoughts for all of those people down there. And what a mess. So, and you know, we've got to get serious about this global warming and these. I mean, I remember when we had a hurricane in the early 60s, and now this stuff's happening all the time. It's crazy. So I wanted to come up with something to do today. So I found this really cute drawing of pumpkins. Hi, Kim. So I said, okay, normally I just go to white fabric, draw the pumpkins on. I'm trying to decide whether to use thread to do outlines of color, whether I'm going to paint it with my jacquard fabric dye paint or ink tints. Trying to decide. I wanted it bigger than this, so I haven't figured out how to do each end yet, but I'm going to keep working because this is about the size I wanted. So I went in my closet and I said, what am I going to use to put in the background? And I don't want to use white. I always use white. White's boring. And then I thought, well, for orange pumpkins, what is the complementary color to orange? And it's blue. And I went, ooh, it's somewhere in the blues, and this is a tealy blue. So I'm thinking this might be something good and just kind of have a minimalist. I know normally I'm over the top on all this. So in a few minutes, I'll show you how I draw that onto the fabric. And then I have to decide, do I outline quilt it with black thread, or do I just take some of my really interesting threads? And I'm not going to thread quilt the whole thing, but do I do just a few threads to give the feeling and the outline? So that's going to be a decision to make today. I am almost done with my scarf. I'm not sure how much I've shown you. This week has been so busy, I didn't get that much done. I am very happy with my new ergonomic. This is 7mm crochet hook. Really, really happy. And I just have a few more rows to do to fill out. This is going to be the hood. And I just have a few more rows to do. And I'm trying to remember if I showed you a few stitches with the crochet, but I thought of that today. I said, if some people aren't used to crochet, but this is what they call velvet or chenille yarn, and I love it because it's lightweight and very soft. But now just remember, I did show you because I remember explaining I'm left-handed. But anyway, so I have a chain on this, and I'm going to go over into this spot. So I have a loop here. I run my needle under. I wrap this thread around it, pull it through, then wrap the yarn one more time, pull it through, and that's considered a single crochet. Then I want to do a single chain right there because I'm skipping a space. So that's how simple crocheting is. I am not a knitter because I'm sorry, but I am not coordinated enough to do two needles at the same time. And I watch my daughter, and both my daughters are great knitters. Sometimes they've got 4 or 5 needles going. Like, whoa, too much for a Deb. Way too much for a Deb. She is, thank you. She is a wonderful knitter. So, okay. So that I'm going to show you how to do this pumpkin drawing because I love coming up with a little something new. I've got the indigo quilt hanging there because that reminds me to tell you that I didn't work on it a single bit this week. And I really want to get it done because I love that. That indigo quilt, in case you're new, joining us new, I dyed the indigo fabrics. And actually, my daughter helped me with some of them too. And then I took and made that quilt for my mark with the indigo fabric. So, and the dark blue that's hanging there, that is the binding that I showed last week. I put it on. And oh, also, don't let me forget, Mark came back from his trip. And so I've got a couple pictures he took and a couple videos of the shore. I told him, thank goodness you went last week when you did. Because, was it last week? Gosh, this whole week has been a blur. No, 2 weeks ago. But good thing he went when he did, because the hurricane kind of hit that area too. So they had some high tides, and hopefully everything is okay. This is to remind me to tell you that I used acrylic paint to paint every inch. When you do paper mache, make sure it's sealed. You don't want bugs getting into it. You don't want any moisture. It can make the whole thing melt again, because it's just paper, flour, and glue. So what I did is went and got a hard coat I got my Mod Podge and painted this all over. It got in all the nooks and crannies and crevices and the bottom and everything, because I'm hoping that I can keep those around for a couple of years because I'm very, very attached to them. So just wanted to let you know. This time I used Mod Podge. I do have a triple thick that I prefer over Mod Podge, but I knew for the paper, Mod Podge is fabulous. And it's less expensive than my triple thick. So I also have our Thursday night doll stuff to show you. I actually tried putting together a doll head, having the seam run down the middle. I'll show you about that in just a few minutes. Let's see. I told you about the paper mache, and you just got to get in there with your hands, run the paper in, and then run your fingers to take the excess of, you make it like pancake batter. And you just take your finger, run it through your fingers, take the excess off, and then wrap it over. Make sure that you put it at least 3 layers thick. And that way, when it dries, and make sure you do the top of the pumpkin with paper mache, let it dry, put it upside down on a heavy mug, then do the bottom, let it dry. If you try to do it all at once, you can't turn it enough. It'll get flat spots because the paper is very malleable when it's still wet. It doesn't get stiff until it dries, and they will mold. So you've got to let it thoroughly dry. I set mine up in front of my little fan, and that worked wonders. And taking the stuff out of the inside is a good thing too. And then you have to put a little patch over the bottom where you pulled the stuff out. But anyway, I think they're wonderful. And if you have priced foam pumpkins at craft stores, they're expensive. So that is my cheap girl alternative. And I love that. Who knows? I might make some more. It's just fun. All right. So let me see. Um, I've got the pumpkin project to show you. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and do show and tell right now, because that way I can show you. Oh, I've got wonderful pictures from Polly. I've got new ones, I think, from Dolores. I've got quite a few. So let's go look at the new. I think Diana sent us some new ones. So let's go look at the photos. I'll show you the photos of our storm damage. And then we'll come back and do some projects today. All right, let me get this set up. Turn out the light here. All right, bring my camera down. Okay, here we go. Let's get these photos up here. I love doing show and tell, and I love when you send your photos in. Just remember, it's OurTimeToQuilt at twc.com, and I will gladly, happily share your photos of your work. So this is this is Pharma Glam that she designed herself. This is Alexis. Or Grand Galvatron, and I love her embroidery. So talented. And then look at this wonderful pendant she made. Isn't that beautiful? So she's expanding out, and I love it. And then here is her latest creation. I can't wait to see what else she's going to do to this. So very talented young woman who's got many years ahead of her to do all kinds of wonderful, wonderful artwork. Then Miss B, let's see. Oh, yes. This is going to be our last visit with Miss B's wonderful landscape. I love, it looks like hand-painted fabric that she has cut into strips and striations to put together. Just beautiful. Thank you, Miss B. Now let's see what else. Miss Betty. Miss Betty, thank goodness, is fine. And she evacuated to stay safe. Be thinking about her daughter who lived in Port Charlotte, which it really got the brunt of the storm. So I love her blue heron, and hopefully soon things will calm down in Florida and the wildlife will be okay. I always worry about that. I filled 2 new hummingbird feeders right before the storm, and thank goodness, because there were some hummingbirds that were hanging out here, and the temperature dropped like 20 degrees, and oh, so rainy and wet. Here is a Surcoat that, or Surcoat that Bonnie is working on. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Boy, that'll make you think you're looking at a lava lamp. Gosh, do you remember lava lamps? Oh my goodness. Back before I could afford a television, lava lamps are what we stared at. Wow. And I also had a Miller beer sign that had this moving little light. And somebody had left it in the apartment. And oh, I watched that thing lots. Here is the lighthouse that I think this is Charlene Piper's. Now, yes, Charlene Piper. Beautiful lighthouse. And let's see, Miss Danielle. Danielle is one of our new members from France, and she does. Be ready to see some amazing work. Look at this safari, and it is done by collage. Isn't that beautiful? Way to go, Danielle. Just wonderful. Then look at this beautiful Japanese scene. Isn't that just beautiful? The thread work. I wish you could see that thread work. Let me see if I can. Ah, there we go. Maybe now you can see some of her amazing thread work. Just beautiful, beautiful. Azaleas, irises, beautiful. You know, the flowers we love best came from Japan. So they've had a big effect on the whole world with their beautiful skills. Okay, now bring that back down. Let's move on to this. Love this. Let me see if I can bring this up so you can see the thread work in that face. Isn't she talented? That is absolutely gorgeous. Way to go. That is beautiful. Wonderful, Danielle. Wonderful. Okay, bring that back down. Okay, whoops. Let me see. Come on. There we go. No. Oh, there they are. There is Danielle with her son's dog. I love that. Beautiful, beautiful. Ah, look at this portrait work. This reminds me of the beautiful stuff that Miss Jody does. Speaking of Jody, I've got to find out what they have planned for her next step. She's done so beautifully. Look at this wonderful hummingbird and those trumpet flowers. Just beautiful, beautiful. All right, so thank you, Miss Danielle. Feel free to send more pictures anytime. I love them. Okay, let's see what Debbie. Yes, yes. Oh, she's got a brand new one. You know, we've got this one that she did from Pineapple Fabrics, pattern from them. Then look at her curves. Isn't that wonderful? And then, oh, I love this vest. Well, here is her newer one. It is a Halloween pillow. Isn't that gorgeous? And that's collage itself. There's a candle, a pumpkin, and a wonderful crow. So, Debbie, that's wonderful. You did great. I love to see your work. I get ideas and inspiration all the time. All right, let's see. I'm just going to show you all of them. I did not have the time yesterday. I didn't have the electricity to edit these folders. So I'm just going to show these because they're so wonderful. I know you've seen these other weeks, but they are terrific. And there's her husband and his companion dog, who's in his safety carrier strapped to the bike, and off they'll go. I love that. And this is a quilt of valor she's making for him. Her lion, Project Linus blankies. She put such effort. And one of the things that I want to get ready to do, probably for our next art quilt, is let's do some real fabric painting, because that's what she's done here. She's painted the fabric and then come in and done the thread work. So that'll be our next after we finish our art dolls. So thank you so much, Miss Diana. Your work is amazing. Now, Miss Dolores, she sent us some new photos, and just in time. She wanted to tell us, too, that her dog with the sunglasses, I'm not sure if it's this one or her Sheltie with the sunglasses, was in Quilting Arts magazine last month. So be looking, if you subscribe to Quilting Arts, be looking for Dolores's work. Miss Dolores, besides being a talented artist and entrepreneur, also hatches out monarch butterflies and then releases them. And thank goodness, because for who knows the exact sure reason, there has been a decrease in their population. So Miss Dolores is a saint for helping the butterflies. Look at that beautiful monarch. How wonderful. So she must have the proper food that they like to eat. and then she takes such good care of them until they hatch out and are ready to go out into nature. But aren't y'all something? This is a buddleia, or butterfly weed, and boy, do they love that. And then look at this. This is one who is just hatched out from its larva, and look, it's on her, and from its pupa stage. Look at it on her finger. Is that wonderful? How very, very exciting. Thank you, Dolores. Oh, now look at this. This is a commissioned work she had. Is this just the cutest thing you've ever seen? Maybe it was this one that was in Quilting Art magazine. But I love it. And look at the reflection in the glasses. This is just amazing artwork. And I'm going to come up close and let you see her amazing thread painting. Her thread work is amazing. But I just thought you'd like to see that. Isn't she a talented artist? We're so lucky to have her with us. Then here, she said she didn't know what she was doing, but when her daughter was leaving to go off to college some years ago, she made her a doll. And I love, love, love it. Isn't that the cutest? This was off of a knitted sweater that she turned into a doll hat. How cute. Look at the little boots with the fur top. And she said at one point the jeans popped open because she made them so thin and to have to stuff them. But you know what? You learn. You just repair it and keep going on. And isn't that the cutest thing? So darn cute. So very talented woman. I mean, she had to have come up with that all on her own. That is remarkable. All right. Then one last shot at Miss Jamie at her rag quilt. Beautiful job. I would always love to see those after they've been washed a few times and really puffed up. And Miss Jody, I got to show this one more time just because it's so darn cute. Look at Miss Jody, 12 years old, head of her age group of that baton squad, the twirling squad. Very talented, very talented. And here is she finishing her last session of chemo. And she rang the bell of hope with her husband, Terry, who has shaved his head in camaraderie with her. And, oh, my gosh, I just love them and love how brave she's been taking care of herself through all this. And then she's back to work on good days. She's back to work on her 2 Block of the Month projects. And let's show the latest. I've got one newer than that. And where she has done the broomstick and the hands. Isn't that amazing? 6 different shades of color for everything. So, wonderful job, Miss Jody. Now, we are going to, let's see, Miss Mary. Let me see. Oh, yes. I've got some new ones from Miss Mary. Well, here is her wonderful, wonderful, wonderful self-portrait that actually graced our website as a placeholder the other week. Then, look at her pretty kitty on that pumpkin fabric. Isn't that a beautiful cat? I love that. Then, this is her fall mystery that she did. And she said that she tried doing some stitching and messed it up, so she put this in the middle. But I think that was a design choice, and it's outstanding. And I love the leaves here. I mean, that is just wonderful. That, to me, makes it so much better. And there's the back of her pillow. Beautiful job. Then her husband, Mark, made this. How cute is this? She fussy cut the corner witches for the pillow. And how cute is that? Great job. And then here is a Christmas crazy quilt she just finished. Isn't that wonderful? I love it. And here is her mystery quilt before she did the wonderful tree in the middle. And if you look at, doesn't it add so much that she did that? I love it. So way to go, Miss Mary. You are really, you're a true artist, and your skills are soaring, hon. Miss Melanie, we don't have any new ones from Miss Melanie, but let's get our puppy fix. What do you think? I mean, this is Willow, her beautiful, beautiful puppy. Is that just the sweetest thing? And there is, let me show you one of these pictures that just, oh my goodness. I think it's this one. So she is loving this little girl. She puts on soothing music and they take a nap together. Isn't that the cutest? What a great dog. She's going to have a wonderful life with that little girl. All right. Let me see. Oh, I think there is. Okay, we've seen this. This is her talented husband did those on the machine. I love these couples where they both produce the work themselves. So that's wonderful. Let's see. Michelle's amazing quilt. I love, love, love this. Michelle is extremely careful, talented piecer, and everything lines up beautifully. Love, love, love it. Okay. Now, Miss Nadine, let me see. I'm not sure I have anything new, but after this amazing Ian had destroyed Florida, let's look at a couple of her gorgeous landscape photographs because they would make us feel so relaxed and so hopeful that things will soon get back to normal. Thank you, Miss Nadine. Miss Nadine was so sweet. Here, let's do this video. Let me see if I can turn up my volume. Because talk about getting our moment of Zen. This is our moment of Zen. And that's Nadine's beautiful England. Beautiful Germany. That's Germany. And we have friends in France and England and Germany. We're so fortunate. That's one thing I love most about the internet. It makes the world much smaller, and we get to meet wonderful, talented people. Okay, we'll show Miss Nazzie's wonderful mystery quilt. Love, love, love it. Thank you, Miss Nazzie. Okay, let me go back to Patricia Fry. She has had a great week. Well, you know that her timing, she has impeccable timing. She just recently moved from Myrtle Beach to a wonderful home back in Virginia and made sure she has good internet connection and television and all those things. She had that in Myrtle Beach too, but when they lived in their cabin for a bit, they lost that. So these are pictures of her new home. And this is her most exciting thing this past week. This is Jericho, and that's her great-grandson, and he was just born. He was born a few weeks early because his mother had a few little problems with her blood pressure, but look how plump and healthy and beautiful that little boy is. So, but Miss Pat Fry was living at a house in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I have a feeling she's very happy that she rode out that storm in Virginia instead. So Miss Polly has some wonderful things to share with us. You know, she was working on the Color My World quilt, Block of the Month from the Quilt Show, who we love. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you more things she's been doing. Look at her wonderful machine applique. It is just beautiful. I love the piece block backgrounds. I mean, this is really nice work, and it's not easy, and she's not been quilting for much more than 3 years. Very talented lady. Look at these gorgeous blocks. Isn't this wonderful? I just love it. Look at, oh, I love that bird. That is just gorgeous. I love her happy colors, wonderful color choices. That is fantastic. And look at how much work she's done on the Color Your World. Isn't that amazing? So she's getting a lot done. A lot done. Thank you, Miss Polly. Luckily, she didn't lose power, but she said she cleaned up a lot of little branches. I mean, there was a lot of yard trash from this storm. And this one, I wanted to just show you her wonderful progress. This is SJ from England. Wonderful, wonderful progress on her Lisa Capon, who we love. Lisa Capon's Quilt As You Go series. So check that out. Okay. And I'm pretty sure those were free. She does such a great job in making a lot of fun, wonderful things available. Okay. So now we're going to go to my things that I want to share with you. This is my leaf garland that I made a few weeks ago with the 3-dimensional leaves that I put on twine, and it's hanging on my mantelpiece upstairs. I love, love, love it. All right. Here we go with Storm. This is in, I think this was Buena Vista, which is a really beautiful neighborhood that's got some great old trees. So this was some damage from Ian. Now, let me see. Here is the damage that lost our power for us. Let me get it to pop up. Come on. It's being shy. Here we go. So, there, do you see this huge tree? Here is an SUV that you can use for comparison. This is not even a mile from my house. And that tree fell and snapped that pole into 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3 pieces. There's a break right there too. And that's why, I guess, as it was bouncing around, and that is why we lost the power about 6 times. But then luckily, it somehow stayed together enough to keep our power going into the next day. But is that amazing? And that tree was a monster tree. Oh my goodness. Whoops. Okay. So now let me go to the next photo. So what they did is, with the pole breaking like that, they said, well, we'll have to get in here tomorrow and put a new pole in, but right now they still got their power, so okay. And Mark said that was an old pole to snap so good like that in 3 different, actually 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my goodness. 4 pieces. So they put a new pole in. I can't wait to go see it. Okay. Then here is a tree that hit the house nearby. Then look at this one. Oh my goodness. That's a mess. So here is a picture from Mark's. Oh, let me get this up. Okay. Here is a picture from Mark's trip. And I think it's just lovely. Another one. This is the sound side. There is the ocean side, and then there's a strip of land, and then this is the sound, or what we used to call inlets. So this is more like a river, and it's calmer than the ocean side. But during low tide, a sandbar appears, and people love to come and play on it or picnic on it. I think it's just lovely. Here is another photo, and I've always told him I wanted to pontoon boat, I wanted to go out, and this is my time of the day, right before dark. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful, the sun setting? So, look at that big party boat. That looks fun. Their fishing pier. And this is at Topsail Beach, North Carolina. Now we're coming up to my grandson's marching band competition. So proud of that boy. In fact, here he is right there. Then my daughter, my granddaughter, myself, and Mark out at watching my grandson's marching band performance. There they are, my grandson right there in the middle. Let's see. This is a photo shoot my daughter had made for herself. Her daughter had this same photographer who did her shoot, and my daughter said, you know what, I would love to do that. And I'm so glad she gave that gift to herself. Okay, then my granddaughter's 18th birthday is this week, and so she planned a big surprise birthday party for my granddaughter. And she had a wonderful time. Look at this. Is this the cutest? I love the Groucho Marx noses. Isn't that cute? There they are. I love it. Love it. And you notice all Doritos on the table. My granddaughter has celiac disease, so they cannot have anything that has gluten in it. So Doritos are free food. Here is my grandson, Evan, 15, for his marching band. There they are again. Then these are my little grandsons from Maryland. And I think this is Russell and that's Donnie. And I just love, my son got a picture of them sitting quietly together watching their favorite show. And that's brother love. How wonderful is that? Okay. Then here is my daughter and her childhood friend. They reunited the last 6 months, and they recently had a visit together. And oh my gosh, I loved it. This is my daughter, Katie. She had to have a mole removed off of her eyelid. That's her response to the procedure. It wasn't fun. And that same daughter has taken her and her husband have taken their daughter, Kylie, up to Salem, Massachusetts. And I think this was kind of done on a whim because the daughter loves the movie Hocus Pocus, and that was filmed in Salem, Massachusetts. So how cute is that? Oh, before I forget, one more thing, please. Before I forget, I want to go to find Mark's. Yeah, okay. I've got 2 videos for you of Mark's speech. Isn't that pretty? I love the waves coming in. Okay, let me go back and find the other one. I'm so glad I remembered this because sometimes I forget these. Okay, this is sunset on that inlet side. I'm fast forwarding it a little so we can see it getting smaller and smaller. Oh, there it's gone. Gosh, I wish I were there right now. As long as they've got their power back on. Let's hope they did. Okay. All right. Let me get the light back on. So that was a lot of show and tell. And I hope you enjoyed it. Let me come back to y'all in just a minute. Okay. Reduce this. Stop this. There. Okay. We're back. Oh, your son was? Yeah, I was in marching band all through high school. And it's so funny. When my kids were little, I didn't say, do you want to be in marching band? I said, what instrument are you going to play? Because I knew that they were going to be in marching band. It just meant everything to me. And their best high school memories are marching band memories. So as long as the children are in something, Mark was into theater, my granddaughter's into theater. Oh, but it just makes memories. Any ensemble activity makes you feel a part of something. And I think helps you get through high school because high school can be tough. And if y'all see Sonia, let me know because I'm worried. I want to make sure that she's okay. So, okay, let me show you that some of my doll components. I've been very busy. This was all stuff. That's why I didn't get anything else done this week. I spent all my time working on doll components. So you'll notice they have the wire coming out so that I can position them. And I thought that'd be fun. So I've got all different kinds, all different bodies. Some parts are going to have more movable body parts, so they're separate. Some are just this, and all I did is just drew it on. This is going to be an art doll that has, spindly legs, and I'm going to use fabric stiffener and try to make her a wonderful flowing costume. So I'm making all kinds of these things. Here is one that I've sewn. I don't have the arm out yet, but it's in there. And I showed y'all Thursday night how to stuff it and what to use. And in fact, the favorite new tool for stuffing thin-armed dolls is your Appliquick tool, because it actually grabs the stuffing and really helps you push it in. That and a chopstick are your two best deals for stuffing dolls. So, and I have some more legs and arms that need to be sewn together. But we're going to get ready right now. Oh, so here is my first polymer clay doll head. And I'm hoping it looks better with makeup and hair, but I'm just learning. So then I did another one and tried to do a little better job. And also, go smaller, Deb. I always want to start out way too big. Then I have a female troll or gypsy, because I was using, this is one of the Ace bandages, and I thought it would be great for dolls' faces. It comes out a little rugged. So instead, this is going to be a gypsy old woman. Then I tried using pantyhose. This didn't quite work out either. So this might be the gypsy woman's old husband. So, and then I want to show y'all again the hands. I ended up, this is the first hand I made. Kind of looks like Barney Rubble's hand, you know? And that was done with the air dry clay. Then my second hand project was this one. Okay, that started looking a little bit better. And then my third hand, I'm starting now to get the idea of how to make a good hand. So there is my progress, and I'm glad that I actually made progress. The clay that I used for the polymer clay was Kato Poly Clay, and it is called Beige Flesh. But there, you can use some translucent in different colors, or you can get some Sculpey beige, whatever you have. That, if you want to get a face with more features, that's probably your best bet. And then, I have a little canister with plenty of tools to help with the shaping of the face. All right, now, what is this? This is, okay, here's adhesive. The other day I was telling you how I had really buggy eyes on this one, so I used some of the liquid Sculpey and adhered, because I had already baked the head and then put a new forehead on, and it really helped keep it in place. So I'm hoping soon to have these painted and moved along a little bit further. But I thought I would show you, if you hadn't been at our Thursday show, I thought I'd show you some of these. Are tricky to stuff, especially if you're going to put wire, armature wire, any kind of soft wire in it. You have to put the wire in first and then stuff around it. Take your time. This is a hand, and what I'm going to do then is come in and stitch down these fingers. Okay, and I'm probably going to do them by hand so I can get a little more control. And because sometimes with the machine, it gets a little weird. It's kind of tricky. So now, what I've done is I've drawn a head on muslin. I'm thinking, I have been looking some more how to do a soft sculpture doll. And so I saw that the best soft sculpture dolls had a seam down the front. Now, normally you think, oh, I don't want a seam down the front. But I think that's the only way. When I was trying the other ways, let me get this one. Well, trying to do the soft sculpture, really hard to make something delicate looking. And here is the pantyhose one. So what I noticed when I did some more research, thank goodness for the internet, is they took and they used like a muslin or doll fabric if you can afford it. It's a little expensive, and I'm trying to use stuff that I have here at home instead of buying new stuff for this, because this is not something I'm going to do more than once. You know what I mean? I found when I was doing the stuffing of all those arms and legs and bodies, I was like, not my thing. So the one good thing about exploring all these different projects, it kind of narrows in the scope of what you enjoy. And so let's see. But I'm going to I like using a bamboo skewer as much as I can, because the wood tends to grab on. It'll help grab onto the stuffing. And with a chopstick, it's got a wide end. If you were to use a pencil or pen or something with a sharp point, you'd go right through the stitching. And you don't want that. So see, I've just pushed some. And I don't know if this is going to work. I thought I would try. But what I've seen is they take the muslin And then they do the sewing of the features on the muslin. And yes, it makes it coarse, but then you put like the stocking material over that, and that softens the features, okay? So, because I was thinking, how do we do this? And use the big end when you're first trying to push the stuffing into the head. It's like once you get some of it going in, and I've kind of opened this just a little bit, and I try to hold it open like this. Then I put the stuffing here, and once you get the first little bit really going into the head, then the rest is easy. And with narrow, like the legs and the hands, do small bits of stuffing at a time and push them into place, then add new stuffing. If you try to put all the stuffing in right away and then try to push it down into the bottom, it won't work. That stuffing can act like cement and you can't get anything past it. My armature wire, I couldn't even get. Oh, thank you, Miss Mary, for your comment. Yes, and this is a good time to remind you that if you have any kind of questions or things you want to ask me, put them in all caps, and I'm more likely to see them. So, because I'd like to, one thing I'm worried about is I'm not getting, I don't know, it just looks too narrow. I put in an extra wedge right here, but I'm thinking it needed a bigger wedge so that you can get a rounder face. But I'm going to keep going on it because you know what? This is how I learn what I need to do. Now, you can go to places like Etsy and find patterns for these dolls. Some can be quite expensive because it's like a tutorial, and they must have like a video or something that goes with it. And this is, I don't want to spend the money on this right now. What I want to do is I'm exploring, how do we do this? What's the best way to do this? So, you know, there'll be trial and error. And you feel free, if you want to start doing this, the internet brings everything right into your workspace. So I'm trying to stuff this nose a little more. All right, so let me put a little bit more in, and then I've got some nice, thick, flesh tone thread, and let me, oops, this drawer is too full, and so it's kind of blocking me a little. All right. So now I need a long needle. I wish I had brought one from upstairs, but I need one of my long needles. Okay, here's one. Okay. All right, let me finish putting a little bit more stuffing in. So, I think that the dolls will be fun, but they are work. And if you are like me and have a lot of arthritis in your hands, plan on taking your time because it does kind of wear on your arthritis. But I'm a type person that believes that if you have arthritis, keep moving. Because if you stop moving too long, you'll freeze up. So I was diagnosed at 16 with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. So it's something I've lived with my whole life. And luckily, the worst of it went into recession and remission. Remission, not recession. So, okay, I've just about got enough stuffing. But remember that Appliquick tool. If you have one, there's another use for it. Because in legs where they're so narrow, it is really hard to get the stuffing down in them. And you have to be careful. If that Appliquick tool gets near the fabric, it'll rip it. So be careful. It's kind of sharp on the end. But if you make sure you keep it in the middle of the stuffing, then I think you'll be happy. All right, so here is this. And I am worried that I should have done a bigger thing, But let's just, if nothing else, this is a little tutorial on what is the process of soft sculpting, okay? And then right after this, we're going to do our pumpkin drawing. And that should be fun because I've got to just decide whether I want to use thread to bring the color or whether I want to use my jacquard or ink kits colored fabric dyes. So that should be fun. Kind of gives me an option. I can wake up and go, what do I feel like today? All right. And this week I had my physical. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but they're right when they say lose weight and exercise. Everything was so much better that way. So, yes, that's what I'm doing. Anyway, okay. So my doctor was very happy, sent me a little note saying, you're looking really good. All right, here we go. So a lot of times I'll just come in from the back, so that's why I have a big needle. And what I think I'm going to do first is come in and give a little shape for some eyes. So this is where it's a little tricky. You've got to figure out where is that needle. And I wish my longer needles are upstairs. I forgot to bring them down. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're upstairs. They're right by my chair where I was working on the others. All right. So I made an extra big knot at the back, okay? Because what you're doing is you bring the needle, and that's why you use heavy thread. You bring in, and see, by having a cover over this, when I was just using it on top of the stocking thing, I didn't want the thread to show. Well, now that I'm going to put a covering over the stocking cover, I don't care if the thread shows. So here I made a stitch right here for that eye, and now I can pull that eye in and decide how much you want to pull it in. And what I might do now is come back for that eye. Don't always go from the back to the front, because sometimes you might want... Okay, so now instead of going to the back, I'm going to come over where the other eye is going to be. And I'm going to come in that way. And that way you'll get kind of the bridge of the nose. All right, so then I'm going to make a big stitch there, come back to the other side of the eyes. And when you do this, it's all a matter of just try it. If it doesn't work, cut the thread, do it again. But I want to see if I can get this part to come in a little, that eye to come in a little more. Okay. Yeah, and I think the shape is wonky on this. Then if you get it to where it's looking pretty good, you can either put it a knot there that will hold it, or you can come out the back of the head and kind of, but I have a knot now to kind of hold this. Let me see. I might want to, yeah, this, I'm getting close to getting it, but not quite there yet, because I need to figure out how to make the head a little more round on the front. So now what I'm going to do is go back in, and I'm going to come in under the nose. Let's work on the nose. So I'm going to come in, right? And you can, and by covering this later, you can come in and mark. Like, so if you want to have a nose to go like this, then I can come in and mark it so I know right where to stitch. See that pencil line? Okay. And then I can come in and do the mouth, and mark that with a pencil. So I know what I'm doing there. And then a little line for the chin. Now my chin's awfully pointy. I can leave it that way if I'm going to make a witch doll. That's a really good thing to look at. Okay, so I'm going to now go from this eye over to this line right here. And I'm going to take a good stitch, come to the other. And sometimes I'll reach down and grab some more stuffing. Like sometimes it might be good to push the stuffing back towards the face. Oh. Anyway, here we go. Get some more stuffing back to the right place. And you can always add more stuffing as you go, because when you start doing some compacting, sometimes it'll move around just a little. I'm going to add a little bit more. You have to have, I've got a bag of stuffing down here on the floor. You have to have enough. Believe it or not, it takes a lot of stuffing to do a doll. So let me shove this in. Because what I have a feeling, to get the shape of the head I want, the head's going to be smaller. So you start a little bit larger to get the head shape you want. Because all of this stuffing and scrunching and all. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to see if that will help some. Because you need as much stuffing as you can fit in there so you have something to work against. Okay? Something to push against, to scrunch against, to get the features. I think I need to add just a little touch more. I don't know. Every once in a while, I'll get a look at this and think, ooh, I might like this. And it might not look exactly, what do you want to call it? It might not look scientifically like a face, but I think it's going to be a good art doll. And that's what we're doing. We're doing art dolls. Take that pressure off of trying to have the perfect face. Because if you look at some of the art dolls, some of the ones I like best have very exaggerated features. And, okay. So I'm pushing this piece in. Let me get it in, and we'll go back to the stitching again, because you have to have plenty to push against. The more you mold it, the more stuffing you probably will need to add, because you will be compacting this quite a bit. And if you don't have enough in, it'll end up looking wimpy. Now what I'm trying to do, let me get my Applique tool, because I want to get some more stuffing in the forehead. So anytime you're trying to work in a distant or a little more remote place of the doll, get this Applique tool in. Make sure you're pushing it to the middle. Now, if you don't have the Applique tool, like I was telling them, then take one of your chopsticks and kind of rough up the end of it, or take a knife and kind of just rough up the end, and that'll do the same thing. Okay, I've been trying to get up past some of this thread, and that's where the Applique tool is coming in here. But don't buy an Applique tool just to stuff a doll. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. But anything that will help push, yeah, do you see how now I'm filling it out more? That's a good thing. All right, so I'm getting plenty of stuffing. Now I'll come back with my needle. I'll bring it down here to show you some more. Let me go, come down a little bit more. All right, so where I am is right over here by this nose. Let me try to get a little more stuffing into that nose, because once you start sewing around it, you can't stuff it anymore. And I'm being very careful not to bring the pushing tool. See, if I get near the edge, it's very sharp. It'll come right through. But I'm going to just run along the edge, get down here, and push this stuffing. Push it in nice and hard, then come on my way out, I shove some more into that area. All right. Let me get a drink of water real quick. Okay, so now my thread is right here on this side of the nostril. So I'm going to take about 1/8 of an inch stitch, and then I'm going to go over to this side of the nostril. And when I do that, I will pull it through, and you'll see, whoops, I'm sorry. You'll see when you pull it through, see how it pulls in the side of the nostril? All right, so I'll take about 1/8 of an inch stick. And see, this is what helps me, because before I was trying to keep my stitches invisible. But now that I know that I'm going to put the stocking cover over top of it, that will hide the stitches. I've got a little, well, I don't know, it's not coming out. All right, so now I take 1/8 of an inch stitch here, go back to the others, and if you need more stuffing, use that needle to pull it up into place, and once you have your stitch, it is trapped there. Okay, so I'm just making the shape of, whoops, now I know why it wouldn't go down. It was caught on my computer. Okay, let me tighten this up. All right. All right, here we go. All right, so see how now I'm getting the shape of the nose. And so far as this crease right here, later on I will pull this back, tuck it in place, so I'll get rid of that crease. So don't worry about that. All right. Oh, pulled my needle out of my thread. Let me try again. All right. The nice thing is these long needles have big eyes, so it's easy. Now I am going to pull up some more yarn. So I'm going to go down like that. Stuffing. And pull up, and then force that needle over to the other side of the nose. And don't feel like that every feature has to be completely done with a needle and thread, because you can come in with your ink tints pencils, and you can put in shadows and shading that will really help. Okay. Again, I'm going to grab a little bit more stuffing, then come right using about 1/8 of an inch stitches. Come over to the other side, making sure that you're pulling it enough to give the outline without having too much. And if the nose is too pointed, all you have to do is kind of tuck it like that, and you'll be able to give it little tiny stitches to make it just what you want. Okay, come back over this side, tuck it in. The main thing is just keep it taut. Now, you've got to decide if you want it to come back a little, because to get it to go in like this, you're going to have to go to the back of the doll. So I'm going to do one last stitch that'll go from side to side. One last stitch. Then, and I do want to do a little nostril. So to do a nostril, I'll come back over to this side here and take just a little nip of a stitch, and then come over to this side where I want the nostril to be. Okay, whoops, hold on. Okay, so then what I'll do now is go to the very back of the doll and pull it. Get that needle. Just be prepared to feel for that needle, because you kind of direct it. When I did my other doll sculpting, I had an even longer needle, and that really made it handy. And upstairs, I think I have one that's a little bit longer than these. But decide how much you want your nose to come back, and that's how tightly you pull. and make a knot. And the reason I make a knot every step, if I've got something the way I like it, I make a knot. I don't have to cut the thread, but I know that part is in place. Okay, so, and I don't know if I'm going to have the nose stick all the way back out or not, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, now I'm going to come from the back and I'm going to do the mouth. And so I've got to now reverse the process and try to find the needle out the front. And it doesn't always come just where you think it is, so you have to kind of work with it. And just be careful because, none of us likes to stick their fingers. All right, here we come. So now it's back from the back. Now, you could go ahead and try to pull it tight and bring the mouth in. I'm gonna be a little careful yet. I don't think I'm ready yet to tighten it down this way. What I'm going to do now is come over here to the side, and I'm going to try to see if I can start sculpting lips. Okay? So what I do is, see this? I go behind the stuffing, side to side to bring it up. I'm going to try to bring in a little bit of a wide puffy line across here. Then you can go back down the middle and make the individual lips. So I'm just going to take another stitch here, grab some stuffing underneath, come back over to this side. And see, when I start to pull it, I'll get a little bit of a feel of the mouth. So I'm just kind of blocking in the mouth. Okay, and I'm going to go grab a little bit of stuffing, come back to the other side, and just do this all the way across the mouth. And have your stitches be long enough that you actually get a line and not just puffy things. So, okay, now I'm going to go back over and I'm going to come down a little bit farther because the mouth will get the mouth will get a little fuller towards the middle. Okay. So let me try this. I figured the only way to try to tell you and show you is to actually do it. So that's what we're doing. Okay. Come back down, grab a little extra stuffing, come back up. So see, I'm just trying to work on that mouth shape. I kind of like this. The polymer clay, you can try to get more realism, but there's something about the soft sculpting that makes you feel like you're creating a person. You're bringing out that personality that was in the cloth. I know that sounds a little silly, but it's fun for me. Okay, I'm going to come up right. Whoops, not quite that far. And it's really important that you know you're coming up in the right place so that you get the shape right, because this is making the shape of the mouth. Okay. And see, you have to kind of sometimes really scrunch it up to be able to move the needle where you want. Okay. So, do you see how you're actually getting a mouth now? That's true. Good job. I have an elliptical trainer because I kept thinking, I'll go out and take walks around the neighborhood. Well, then, the weather becomes an excuse. It's too hot or it's too cold or it's rainy or whatever. So I have an elliptical trainer, and that's what I get on every day because, after having gone through kidney cancer, I'm so grateful and I need to take care of myself. It feels good to sit on the couch and check my emails, but that's not going to get me healthy. I'm kind of liking how this is working. I need more stuffing in the chin, although I don't want my chin to be too pointed. But this might be the way to do this. Okay, see, so I make sure I'm grabbing plenty of stuffing to get this mouth fleshed out. See how it's coming along now? Look at that. We're getting there. We're getting there. So just remember, if you see dolls and for sale and these homemade or art dolls and they've got a high price on them, they deserve that. It's a lot of work. But if you're willing to do it yourself with things you've got on hand, materials you've got on hand, it is very doable. Now I need to start coming in, bringing my stitches a little closer together so I can get back to the other side of this mouth. So I'm going to start coming up a little bit, not grabbing quite so much, and coming down a little lower with this line. And that's why it's good to draw on this beforehand so you can keep track of it. Okay? So now, here we go. I'm going to put in the last stitch. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and do a knot, because when I put this last stitch and tighten it up, I want the knot to go under the fabric and hold it there. And I'm going to make this last stitch to this side and pull it snug. So there is a mouth. There. And this is going to be the chin. But can you see now how loose that chin is? So that's when we'll come back in with this, with whatever you have to push it into that chin, and push more than you think you need. And that's where it's okay if the features are a little exaggerated, because I'm going to put an indentation in here, and I can always, take a little excess. Like if the nose is too long, I'll tuck it in, do a little stitch. If the chin's too pointy, I'll tuck it in, do a little stitch. But good for you, Kim. Good for you. Yeah, I'm realizing I've got things I want to do, like go to England and do some sightseeing with Mark. And I have to be in good health to do that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the delineation of the lips. I'm going to separate them. So I come in the middle here and go over to the middle here. Okay, and then just start doing 1/8 of an inch stitches all the way across. Okay, 1/8 of an inch stitches. And decide how you want to shape. Don't, when I get closer to the front, I'm going to put a little shape in the mouth if I can. Okay. Whoops, almost lost that thread again. All right, so I'm pulling nice and snug to get this line. And here, when I get up close here, I'm going to put a little bit of shape in this. And now, okay, so I've got this. What's going to make it look more realistic is now I'm going to push this to the back and pull it through. Whoops. Okay, I felt the needle. Pull it through like this. And decide how much you want the mouth to come in. Okay, so it was out like this. Watch, when I pull, there. See that? Isn't that neat? Priority's exactly right. I want Now, I always say if I'd known I was going to live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself. But this is the best. This is the best time, and I have so many hopes and dreams of what we want to do, and so I've got to stay as healthy as I can. So I share this with you because it's what we all go through. And some of you have done a better job than me, but I'm trying to get there. All right, so I'm trying to move this knot down. So I'm going to pull it like that. So now over here, I've got to push more stuffing, but there is a mouth. And so I'm going to leave that thread. I knotted it. I'm going to have to come up with a new thread. But then I'm going to come back in here and push a little bit more stuffing up in that chin. Okay, here we go. There we go. And just push a lot more stuffing to make the face more full. I'm thinking this, I still think I needed to make a bigger wedge in the back instead of this little wedge right here. I think I needed to make a bigger one starting like right here. But I think this one so far is coming out better than the others. So I'm hoping that gives you something to look at, something to think about, and gives you some idea of how to do soft sculpture. But I will be pulling the forehead back like this, and then I might actually come in and do a little bit more work around the eyes. I want to make a nice oval. Now, you can paint the eyes. You want a little bit of an indentation, but you also can come in and paint. But I'm going to try to pull this forehead back just a little like this, and then come in and work on the rest. But I think that side's better. Anyway, all right. So now I showed you that. Now I'm going to come over here. Let me put this a little higher. All right. Let me grab my light box real fast. Okay. All right. Let me get all my doll stuff out of the way. All righty. This is going to be the last fall activity, although I would love to find some way to do a turkey for Thanksgiving. But we're going to start soon on what kind of projects do we want to do for Christmas this year? Because you can't wait till the last minute, that's for sure. All right, so let me get this out. All right, plug it in, and then we can go ahead and trace. I always forget where to plug this in. There, look, is that it? Oh, it's because I'm putting the wrong end in. Okay. All right, plug this here, and then put this in there. All right, here we go. So what I'm going to do is pull out some of this fabric. This fabric might work pretty good, and it's going to be 3 pumpkins because I like doing artwork in series of 3s. So, and I'm going to make it a little bigger. So I'm trying to decide what size piece to cut. I'm thinking this is pretty good. Let's see how tall I have to make it. All right. I think this is just fine. I wanted to tell you thank you to Miss Jeannie for asking how we were, and I found out she is well and safe. And so is Miss Betty. So thank goodness. I worry about y'all when we found out there was a storm nearby. Now, real quickly, How do you decide placement? First thing you do, you fold your fabric in half one way, and then you come in here. If I had my iron already warm, I would do it with an iron, but you just take and then fold it the other way and do a crease here, do a crease on this side, and what you're doing is you're just finding the center, and from that you can decide. It's best not to put things right in the dead center. In this one, I'm going to put the pumpkins a little lower than center, okay, because I can do other things up there. So I'm going to put it about right here. So now I'll put this underneath. And I would rather draw with chalk. Pencil moves the fabric too much. Oh, no, I'm not sure white is the right color for this. Blue or yellow? Here's yellow. Let's try yellow. All right, so I've got my tailor's chalk, which is always my go-to for doing something like this. And this is going to be the middle pumpkin. So, okay. I'm going to put him just slightly off center. See, here's the center and how he's just slightly off center, and move him back up, okay, because I want the pumpkin a little low here, a little lower than the middle. So if you see, here's the pumpkin, here's the center, so that's good. And then I'm just going to come in here with my tailor's chalk and draw the outline. And if you want this pattern, a copy of this so that you can use the same one, just send me an email. And for those of you who are members, I will put it on the site. And I don't have it ready right yet because I'm going to want to make a few changes in this. But when I make those few changes and put it on the site, then you'll have it. And if you aren't a member of our group yet and want it, then just send me an email to OurTimeToQuilt at twc.com. And I should have the whole thing figured out by then. All right, because I just thought of this today when I was running around trying to do everything. All right, and let me get this. I love this, the way that it has these vines. Okay. And you'll get a chance, then next time we're together on Sunday, you will get a chance to see what I decided, whether I'm going to paint this, whether I'm going to thread sketch it. You'll get to see. Okay. Alrighty. So this just gives you some ideas. Let me quickly just get this oriented on here. Now, let's say you have an image of something that you want to do, but you only have it this big. Then what you do is you fold it in half this way, and fold it in half this way. That should give you 16 blocks. Let's see if it worked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, only 8. So we've got one more fold to do because I like working with 16. That's just my favorite number. So now you fold it this way, okay? Just folding half and half and half and half. Here you go. Here are the 16 blocks. Everywhere there's a line. What you do with that is then you fold your fabric in the same way, ironing it to show your creases. And then what you do, hi Jody, sweetheart. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Let's put some ideas together. I think it would be fun. Oh, Dolores, so good to see you, sweetheart. Uh-oh. Yeah, I hate it when neighborhood animals will become a problem. But what you do here is then if you have the fabric folded into 16 squares with the creases and this with the creases, only draw what you see in that one little section. People who say they can't draw can draw like this. It is the best method of getting a decent picture. Now because that way not everybody has the exact size that they want to make something. Here is the chalk version of this. I need to finish fleshing it out, but then I will decide what to do. Do I go ahead and put batting and backing and take black thread and outline it and then use my colors and a nice thin little like watercolor of it? Or do I use different color threads of the pumpkin and green for leaves and oranges and whatever for pumpkins, and just do thread outlining with very minimal? Oh, good, hon. Good, good, good. Oh, I love that. I love that, sweetie. Good for you. Thank you, Miss Jody. I was worried. Thank you, thank you. We'll cross your fingers. That MRI test, I'm not a big fan of those. They're wonderful. They're the best thing going. But you have to lay real still. That's hard for me. Aw. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you this is going to be our next project. And you can be thinking, what do I want to do? And I will have this pattern. I'll have it this size on our website. If I can make it larger, I'll put that size on our website. But don't forget that. Let me put on here for your photos and any patterns you want. Our time. Whoops, not all caps, Deb. Okay. Our time to quilt. Whoops. At a time. Whoops, I didn't do it quite right. At twc.com. All righty. So I think I've covered just about everything that I planned today. And and thank you for your patience with me today. Losing power all day yesterday really threw a wrench into my plans. But Mark is home. Perfect timing. And I'll see how I'm going to help him carry the groceries in because I don't want him using that cut finger too much. And he will if I don't watch him. All right. Have a good week. I will see you Thursday night, or hopefully I've got some dolls painted and some costuming begun, because that's going to be the fun part. And then the next time we're together on Sunday, you'll get to see how did I do this pumpkin portrait. Okay? All right, everybody. Take such good care. Thank you for sharing this time with me, everyone. Bye-bye, ladies. Bye-bye. We're crossing. Oh, thank you, Miss Kim. I just love you to bits. We're crossing our fingers for Jody's MRI results. And I think it's all up from here. Modern medicine is amazing. I'm here to witness that. And take good care of yourself now that Ian is done. Let's pull everything back together. Stay warm. I'm going to have beef stew for dinner. Yay! Take care. Bye, everybody. Kim, we'll be exercising, won't we? We'll report next week that we exercise every day. Good job. All right. Take good care. Oh, Mary, so good to see you. I just love all of you ladies so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Take good care of yourself.